you want to make sure that you are building strong business relationships that will help to keep your business going. It will help to keep your business healthy. And those two things will contribute to you not losing focus, not feeling overwhelmed, and not feeling burned out. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the None of Your Business podcast. Shawn and Lacey here. And today I want to tackle a topic that is really important, regardless of whether you are a brand new entrepreneur or you've been in business for some time. One of the things that we run into a lot is people tell us like, oh my gosh, I just am not sure, where I should be placing my focus, what I should be thinking about, where I should be putting my money, where I should be putting my attention. And at the same time, all of this leading to a common thing, overwhelm, and even potentially burnout. Today's podcast is called Fix Your Focus. So I want to talk about these three areas that I think that people should be fixing their focus in order to grow your business, which of course is primary. So you can reach more people, make a bigger impact, and create the lifestyle that you desire, but also to avoid overwhelm and also to avoid burnout. We see this as a very common theme as people are grinding. We always say there is no glory in the grind. And there's a very, common and very popular sort of theme that people say, rise and grind to entrepreneurs. And we always say there's no glory in the grind. A lot of people grinding for grinding's sake because they saw a meme or they just thought that that would be cool. That's what they should do. I should rise and grind. And that eventually leads to this burnout, something that we're seeing a lot of. But I feel like it's due to the fact that people's focus is not placed in the right thing. In fact, maybe it's just they're focusing on grinding in and of itself. Like I just need to rise and grind. And their focus is off. And because they don't have their focus on the right things, they begin to feel that overwhelm and that burnout.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people too, it's not even that they feel burnout or just overwhelm. It's the combination of the two things. And then they get demotivated and they don't want to do what they're doing anymore. And then when you get demotivated, all the work that you did up until that point by grinding, it's like it was all for nothing, right? Because you just begin to go backwards. So I love the idea of fixing your focus so that you can move through these things and not feel like you have to feel like that all the time.
What's that saying? What you focus on grows.
That what you focus on grows.
What you focus on grows. And so, where should I be putting my attention? And along with my attention usually comes my dollars, right? So where should I be fixing my focus? Three areas. Number one, education. And I know that you have become, but I have long been, and maybe I rubbed off on you, a course junkie, right? Like I just love, I'm a sucker for all of these courses. Like, do you want to learn how to, write better copy? Do you want to learn how to make a funnel? And look, in our business, I don't even do that stuff, and I'm still buying it. Like, it's like, wow.
But we do give advice on it too.
We do give advice on it, but I mean,
that we learn it.
I do think that for everybody listening, first thing I want everyone to think about is shifting your focus relative to education. And, you and I were talking recently. This is obvious if you wanted to perform a trade. If you wanted to be a dentist, well, you should need to focus on your education because you can't be a dentist if you didn't get the education. It would be nonsensical just to skip the education and say, I'm really good at this and just dive right in. You have to get the education.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that what you're doing doesn't require some sort of a degree or even maybe a license or board approval, but you still need to focus on your education. I think that it's easy for a lot of people to sort of fall into this lull where you're just doing this thing and you do it over and over. And maybe you're even good at it, but you're not constantly improving. And because of that, overwhelm and burnout.
It's really interesting because what comes to mind too is typically when people are in a state of overwhelm and burnout, the only thing they can focus on is how do I make more money, make sure that the money's still coming in. And that's what I love about what you're talking about. It's like, no, it's not about all the money that's coming in. It's about what can you do to grow yourself, and then the money will come. I think that's a really important concept.
And it's not just your core deliverable that you need to focus on.
Not just your skill,
not
the
just
direct
your primary
skill set.
Right. So there might be peripherals. Maybe you're not very good at marketing.
Right.
So you might want to invest in courses, in education, in books on marketing. Maybe you're not very good at relationships with your clients, networking. There's a lot of areas where I think that, frankly, you can overcome this sort of stagnation, this burnout, this overwhelm by fixing your focus on education.
I love that.
The second place where you can fix your focus is on mentorship or just generally good advice.
Yep.
I find that a lot of people that become overwhelmed or burned out, you have this feeling like I'm going it alone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and especially if you are by definition a solopreneur, that's probably the hardest thing. That's why we talk about very quickly trying to build a team, building that infrastructure and then growing, building the team. When you have just a little bit of extra money, going out and hiring other people so that you're not in that position. But team is you leading other people.
Right.
Sometimes there is a necessity for you to also be led. And so getting good mentorship is a place that you should fix your focus. Now, I'm not just talking about coaching. You and I both are coaches for hire, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about mentorship.
Well, I was going to add, I think that the key here is good mentorship, because a lot of times when you're in overwhelm and you're feeling that way, or you're feeling burnt out, what happens then is everybody wants to give you advice. Well, here's what you should do. Here's what the next step is. Here's how to feel less overwhelmed. Maybe you should do this.
Maybe you should quit.
Maybe you
Your
should
friends
quit.
and family
oh my
give
God,
you terrible
you should have started
advice.
that in the first place, right? They give you terrible advice. And so good advice and good mentorship is the key word here. Otherwise, what we talk about this all the time, you get unsolicited advice. And that's the worst kind of advice to get you out of any rut, out of any state of overwhelm, and out of any burnout.
So how do I get good mentorship? What do I look for? What do you think? How would I go about?
Well, first you have to find out like what you need. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of people aren't clear on exactly what they are looking for. So first you have to get clear on like what you're looking for. What kind of mentorship do I need? What kind of advice am I trying to get? Is it about my business? Is it about my personal life? Is it about how I manage my mindset and my stress? Because there's a lot of different people that work in those specific areas. So first you have to figure that out, and then you'll be able to identify.
You know, I've been saying this year, my saying that I've been preaching is that your success depends on the quality of your questions. And our mentor, Jay Abraham, always talks about your biggest question, concern, obstacle, or opportunity.
Right.
And I think that that's where it starts. I have to figure out what I'm trying to solve for so that I can find
clarity
a good mentor.
is key here. Yes.
Next, though, advice is also important, because I want to go to that because I'm not trying to say that they're the same thing, right? Mentorship, I would say I would want to look for somebody that has walked this path before, right? Somebody that has experience, that has already done what I am attempting to do, because what I want to do is I want to create leverage. We talk about how leverage helps you to get to your goals or your destination faster. A bicycle gives me leverage over somebody who's running to the same destination. I'm going to get there faster because I have the right tool. I have a bicycle. But if you had a car and I have a bicycle, then you're going to get there faster. Right. So it's all about leverage. Mentorship can help you to get leverage because they have already traveled that path. They have life advice. One of the things in mentorship is you would never want to receive mentorship from someone that hasn't already done the thing that you're trying to do. I mean, how many people are out there helping people to build 7-figure businesses that don't have a 7-figure business themselves? Right. The number of people on social media teaching people how to be an influencer with 400 followers is tremendous. It's overwhelming, that in and of itself. But now, different to that, advice. Advice oftentimes can be professional in nature. For example, I could get legal advice. I might be setting up a corporation or a company, and I might want to know, should I create a C Corp or an LLC? And oftentimes tax advice is also critical. Legal advice, tax advice, this type of advice should be paid for, and it should, to the best of your ability, be top notch. Because here's what I want everybody to know. Not getting proper advice can lead to overwhelm and eventually burnout. You figure out later on that you were not legally structured properly. You figure out later on that your books were not set up properly.
And it costs you time, money, and energy.
Yes.
It costs you more than just one thing.
So where should you fix your focus? You should fix your focus on mentorship, somebody that's already been there and already done it. And there's a lot of people that might just do that out of the kindness of their heart because they care about people. And advice, are you getting proper advice so that you are making the right decisions that will help to combat that? That's a place where you should fix your focus. And the last place to fix your focus is on relationships. And we talk about this on sort of two realms. One is relational capital, your business relationships. That would include your staff, your employees, and your current clients and your prospects. But we do a whole series called Relationships Matter. And we also think that it's important that you should fix your focus on your personal relationships as well.
Right. And we always have said all business problems are personal problems in disguise. So a lot of times, we got that from our mentor. And a lot of times what we see is that when you're experiencing overwhelm and you're experiencing burnout, sometimes it's not actually coming from the business. It's coming from a personal relationship that you're struggling with, that maybe you're not getting the support that's necessary. You don't have open lines of communication or clarity, or maybe it's a relationship not with somebody else, but with yourself. So those are the two biggest relationships that need work.
Well, I heard this line recently that you should try and meet your second spouse first.
Oh, yeah.
And, what we're talking about here is why have to go through the process.
If you're going to have a second spouse.
Well, it's theoretical. Why go through the process of having a spouse, and then because you do not fix your focus, you botch up that relationship, right. And so many of us have been there, only to then meet your second spouse. The idea here is, look, if it's possible relative to your business and then relative to the coupling of your personal life to meet your second spouse first, whoever you're with now, let that be your last stop.
Yes.
And do what you can to preserve that relationship. The other part of that, though, is also business relationships, right? So oftentimes, because you are not cultivating and fostering business relationships, you don't have referral partners. You don't have, as Book Yourself Solid calls it. And hopefully you guys watched. And if you haven't, when you said business problems or personal problems are personal problems in disguise, that's Michael Port. We did a wonderful interview with Michael. So go back and re-listen to that episode. It's super important. But you want to make sure that you are building strong business relationships that will help to keep your business going. It will help to keep your business healthy. And those two things will contribute to you not losing focus, not feeling overwhelmed, and not feeling burned out. The last thing, though, too, where you should fix your focus in relationships, to go back to personal. So many people that are listening to this right now need to stop, right? And maybe you're listening to the None of Your Business podcast, as you're like, I just need to know what's the next thing that I need to do. And I'm not saying stop doing your business.
Right.
But you need a break.
Yeah.
So many of you just need a break. And so when we fix your focus, and you might want to just take some time, maybe take a long weekend with your significant other to fix your focus on them, to fix your focus on your personal life, and not just be focused on your business. So many of you are overwhelmed because you're so focused on your business and you're ignoring your personal life. And your personal life is spinning out of control and you just don't want to look at it.
Right.
But that's overwhelming too.
Right.
Right. And so sometimes you just need to step back, take a little breath, regroup.
Slow things down a little bit.
And fix your focus.
Fix your focus. I like
Anything else to add?
Nope.
All right, everybody. That's it for today. We'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of the None of Your Business podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe on your favorite platform. And if you would do us a favor, we would love for you to leave us a review. We would love to hear what you think now that we're so many episodes in. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again next week.